But let me now come to an important issue that does not only relate to the tragic events of September 11, but it's an important topic in its own right. And I've been talking about these issues even long before September 11. What does Islam teach its adherents as to how they can relate to other communities? And here the evidence comes straight from the Qur'an itself. In the first place, the Qur'an insists that there is one generic religion that was preached by all of the prophets, the message of monotheism, which did not start with Abraham, before him with Noah, and before both with Adam himself, who was regarded actually as the first prophet. What is the essence of that message? It is the literal meaning of Islam, not the limited meaning, because we said Islam is achieving peace through submission to Allah, and all of the prophets taught precisely the same thing. No wonder we find the Qur'an calls Abraham and other prophets, followers of Jesus, are all called Muslims, people who submitted to Allah in order to achieve that peace on the various levels. So the core teaching, in essence, is the same. In fact, the Qur'an depicts the various prophets in history not as competing or fighting with one another, unfortunately, as some of their followers are doing, but in fact as one brotherhood of prophets, various links in the same chain of revelation extending from the first to the final prophet. So believing and respecting all of them is not a statement of political correctness, it is a statement of belief according to the Qur'an, without which a Muslim cannot claim to be a Muslim. In fact, within the general acceptance of all of the prophets, 5 stand out as the greatest of the great, or ulul azm, and these are no surprise to a Jew, Christian, Muslim, or even a historian. The greatest 5 influential religious figures or prophets in history obviously are Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. May the peace and blessing of Allah be upon them all. But the Qur'an doesn't just speak about the similarity in theology or the basic teachings of the Prophet. It goes beyond that to operationalize the nature of that relationship. And here is one of the key references in the Qur'an that I love to make a couple of comments on it. That's in Surah 49 in Ayah 13. In the translation of meaning, God speaks to mankind. Oftentimes in the Qur'an you find Allah speak directly. And it begins by saying, Ya ayyuhan nas in Arabic, which means, O mankind. That's rather interesting. Because when the Qur'an addresses Muslims pertaining to their duties, for example, like fasting, charity, pilgrimage, it says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O believers, mean believers in Islam. Yet, in this ayah, like nearly 200 other verses in the Qur'an, it begins with, O mankind, Muslim, non-Muslim, all human beings. It is the Lord of all speaking to all. That's significant. And usually these verses are the ones that deal with the bonds of humanity. And then it goes on. We created you, we here is the royal we, from a single pair of a male and female, some translated male and female. But if you take male and female, single pair of a male and female, the clear implication here is that all human beings belong to the same family. You hear people talking about the white race, the black race, this race and that race. The Qur'an also brings to our attention that beyond those races, there is one race, the human race, that all descend from the same set of parents, diverse as it may be. And then it says, we made you into nations and tribes. Why? That you may get to know and recognize one another. A deliberate diversity in unity and unity in diversity. That is articulated in another ayah in the Qur'an, in Surah 30, in ayah 22. Beautiful one, explaining the origin of languages and complexion. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ. Of the signs of Allah, signs of His power, wisdom, is the creation of heavens and earth and the diversity of your languages and your complexion. It's a deliberate creation. which makes life more interesting. It is like a bouquet of flower, where the white flower is beautiful in its own right, so is the yellow, the red, the pink, you name it. More beautiful are all of them together. If they were all the same, life would be boring. There is deliberate creation of diversity. It's beautiful. And then it ends by providing the sole criterion accepted by Allah for mankind, for a human being to be a better human being. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. The most honored of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous. An open competition to which anyone can sign without any barrier of wealth or color or ethnicity or even religion, because sometimes the Qur'an also condemned false and empty religious claims which are not supported by righteousness. Beautiful reference about this broader bond of human brotherhood.